Hello and welcome to today's Advective weather video. An enhanced risk is in place for tomorrow. Once again, large hail is likely for the Dallas-Fort Worth metro area. Been a lot of hailstorms and supercells moving through the metro and indeed Waco this year. And it seems another day where guerrilla hail will be on the cards for some, not all, in north-central Texas and far southern Oklahoma. There will also be a damaging wind threat as far east as Mississippi, primarily focused within the enhanced risk region from Texas through into western portions of Louisiana and Arkansas. These supercells will definitely be capable of producing at least baseball-sized hail. Potentially, there may be one or two isolated storms that produce hail quite a bit larger than that, possibly large enough to punch through weak roofs. So, of course, when those warnings are issued, pay attention, look at the size of the hail, and if there is a particularly destructive thunderstorm warning issued, seek shelter in a safe place, particularly if you're outside, of course. Now, looking at the overall picture, we can see that, as typical for late spring into early summer, quite sloppy pattern, some wavy fronts here and there, lots of weak lows, nothing particularly intense like you see in the spring, autumn and winter months. However, that certainly doesn't diminish the threat, and we could even see a tornado or two tomorrow. Here's today's risk, which isn't particularly exciting. Couple of marginal risks, no tornado threat, small slight risk for sparsely populated areas of Oklahoma, Kansas and Colorado. Once again, that's just a wind and hail threat, none of which is significant. Now, main show for the short term is tomorrow. Once again, Dallas-Fort Worth metro area and Waco at the greatest risk from very large hail. Paris, Texas, also in that risk area. Natchitoches, Shreveport, Texarkana, these are also locations in or near the enhanced risk. There's that tornado risk I mentioned, which stops just north of Austin, but you could have tornadoes outside this area as well. This is just where a tornado or two is most likely. There's that enhanced wind risk stretching once again throughout the enhanced risk area. So if you're in enhanced risk, you have an increased risk of damaging winds tomorrow. And that very large hail that I mentioned, which does include Austin and goes as far north as Ardmore, Oklahoma. Anywhere within that hatched region could see hail 2 inches or greater. Within that red area, which is the western part of the enhanced risk, you could see hail approaching baseball size, if not even larger than that. Now here's the HRRR model run for tomorrow. You can see those storms. So first batch of storms in the evening, and then overnight storms come through. Both of these could be producing very large hail, so you'll want to have your weather radio or alert app set up if you're in bed at night, or indeed if you're out at that time of the night, so that you're aware of the severe weather. And of course, when the watch is issued, that means severe thunderstorms are possible in the next several hours, maybe for the next 12 hours if it's a particularly long watch. Those watches will be updated and adjusted as needed, and as soon as you're out of the threat, the watch will be cancelled for your county. When those warnings are issued, that's when you should take action, particularly if it is a storm with very large hail or hurricane-force wind gusts, which, while not being particularly likely tomorrow, are more than possible. And of course, there could be a tornado or two. It also helps to move to your tornado safe place if you are in a destructive severe thunderstorm warning, as they can produce damage similar to weak tornadoes. And an additional point to note is that today through tonight we have a moderate risk of flash flooding across parts of Montana, with slight risks also in place for portions of Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Wyoming, and the Dakotas. Now, there's been a lot of rainfall in this area over the past couple of weeks. I'm sure people in this area don't need me to remind them of that, but this is the last day with a moderate risk in place, assuming one of the following days isn't upgraded. They're both slight risks at this time. However, the intense rain that's expected for the rest of today into the evening hours will only add to the unusually high rainfall that we've seen, which is 300% of average for the past week or two. This will bring further significant flooding risks, some of which could be life-threatening if unfortunate circumstances arise. So pay attention to local warnings. There are flash flood watches in place across the region with a couple of flash flood warnings if a flash flood warning is issued for your area, you should seek shelter by moving to higher ground. Now, of course, if you're on high ground, you don't need to do anything. But if you're in a river valley or your home's in a floodplain and a flood warning is issued, take action, stay safe. And of course, when you're out and about and you come to a flooded road, never drive through, never walk through, never ride on a bike or a motorcycle through. It only takes 6 inches of water to knock you off your feet, and a foot or two can float most cars away. Turn around, don't drown. The mantra that saved many lives. And one more point to note before I finish today, the abhorrent air quality issues which have been plaguing the northeast United States are lingering for some, but should be washing away over the weekend as rain moves through the region. So you shouldn't have to be dealing with it much more if you've still got that problem today. Now, going forwards into next week, while nothing certain has been issued at this time, there is the likelihood that we could see substantial severe weather across portions of the south central plains into the mid-Mississippi, even the lower Mississippi Valley. Particularly for the eastern portions, it's a bit unusual to be having severe weather at this time of year. And particularly of the potency we're expecting, it could be more akin to the weather you'd see in May across Oklahoma and Texas. So pay attention when the Storm Prediction Center has more certainty on these events, as they are likely to be very uncertain up to the day of, if not when they start. Just too much spread in the models at this time to issue anything specific. But stay tuned, and once we get more agreement, we'll let you know what's likely to happen. But just for now, remember, it could be particularly intense and perhaps unusual for this time of year in the southern plains. Thank you very much for watching, and we hope wherever you are in the world, you're staying safe today. Goodbye.